Welcome to In Good Faith, a production of the Campus Ministry Department of St. Norbert College in Depew, Wisconsin, with your host, Sean Johnson, and special guest, Dan Robinson. Welcome to In Good Faith. I'm the host, Sean Johnson, and we have our guest, Dan Robinson, who is the director of the Center for Community Service and Learning here at the college. He's worn many hats at the college. One of the hats that he's worn is a musician, and that is something that he continues today. So if we can go ahead and welcome Dan Robinson. So Dan, thank you for being here with us today. Can you tell us a little bit about what the CCSL is and kind of how it started a little bit?
Sure. The CCSL, Center for Community Service and Learning, it's a joint effort of 3 divisions here at the college: Academic Affairs, Mission and Heritage, and Student Affairs. And the basic premise of the department is trying to promote getting our students involved in the wider community, getting off campus involved in community service and learning projects.
Very cool. What is it about service and faith that you think is interesting? How did you get into the whole idea of service being important in your life, and what's the correlation between service and faith?
Well, you know, I have a confession to make. I mean, I guess I've never really thought about service in terms of faith as a separate thing. For me, those two kind of meld into one term. I was thinking about that as we were talking about preparing for today, and when I was a kid growing up, I grew up in a small town that my mom had grown up in, so we had a lot of family around, and we were involved in the local parish there, Sacred Heart Church, in a little farming community in northwestern Indiana. And you know, you just did stuff. I mean, it wasn't like, well, you know, we need to contribute, or we need to be of service because that's what our faith calls us to. You just did stuff, partly because if you didn't do it, nothing would happen. I mean, it wasn't like there was a lot of professional staff to do things. There was the priest, and that was it. And if anything was going to happen in the parish, people had to do it. And so my mom was the director of the children's choir, which meant that I was in it for a lot more years than my friends were, and which at the time seemed like a huge burden, but in hindsight was probably a good thing for me. I was an altar server, and my dad would set up things and would move things around and set them up in the church. Like, he always got out the fans that they had, because you know, they have air conditioning, so I got the big fans in the church, and he always managed somehow to point them right at the seat that we always sat in, so it worked out really well. And so, you know, and my grandmother was involved. My aunt was a catechist. My grandmother was on parish council. I mean, it was just, he just did stuff, and so it wasn't so much that, you know, it was a call to service. It's just, this is just what you did. And so as I guess I sort of inherited that viewpoint. In one sense, I'm very blessed to have the job that I have now, because I enjoy talking about service. I enjoy talking about us getting engaged in the wider community. But I have to admit, sometimes it feels a little artificial in that I just think this is who we are as people. This is how we should live our lives, even if you don't even come from it from a faith perspective, as citizens of our community. This is just what you do.
It's a very, very awesome and introspective kind of look at what service is, and kind of integrates what we're called to be. We're called to pitch in when we can, and kind of do as much as we can to help each other. Can you tell us a little bit about, I know another one of your hats is that you have worked with St. John's Shelter here in Green Bay. Can you tell us a little bit about your interaction with that and how that came about?
Sure. Well, it like a lot of things you get involved in that are big deals, or I should say a big deal, but take up a large amount of time, they sort of slip in as small things and kind of grow from there. What happened was, a few years ago, I was helping the Norbertines write a proposal for what is now the Norbertine Volunteer Community, and I was trying to get out and meet different people in the community, different organizations that were going on, and I knew that the shelter had been going on for the last few years at St. John's, and so I went to a couple of their board meetings, and this was a really difficult time for the shelter. And to make a long story short, they were going through some conflict with the city of Green Bay and trying to figure out how to open and all this stuff, and they were needing more support from the community. And I just offered to help with the meetings if that seemed to be of any use. And they said, sure, you can help with sort of running the meetings. I mean, I wasn't the chair of the group or anything. I just sort of helped facilitate the board meetings, and things sort of grew from there. The shelter went under a lot of transition and ended up being a diocesan-sponsored thing, and then it became its own separate corporation at some point. But in the process of that transition, I was asked to not just chair the meetings, but be the chair of the Board of Trustees and also the chair of the executive committee for that. So that it sort of grew from that, and then my wife Laura got involved with the shelter as the volunteer coordinator there, and she's on the Board of Trustees and on the executive committee, and wears, you mentioned a lot of hats, she wears a lot of hats with that. Yeah. So it's sort of this thing that our family has taken on as something that, you know, we try to get involved in, and that's been a blessing. I mean, it's been a privilege to be a part of that. I've been involved in a lot of different things with a lot of different groups in the area, and I have to say that this group of people that we get to work with, both in terms of staffing and volunteers and the board and such, is one of the best groups of people I've ever had an opportunity to work with. And people have different roles. That happens. My role happens to be as the chair, but it's no less or more important than what anybody else is doing, because people are putting in a huge amount of time with this, and that's been a blessing to be a part of.
Now, kind of towards a more personal question, is there any point that in your time of serving others through the various ministries that you've been in, that you've really felt a connection that, wow, this is where I'm called to be, this is really making sense? The stuff that I've had in my past, you know, talking about how we're supposed to live out the gospel, and Mother Teresa kind of talks about sometimes the only gospel that we read is our actions, or the things that we do. Is there any point in your life that you can look back to and see, like a aha moment where that made sense? Sure.
Well, to talk about that, I'd have to go back to a time when I didn't feel that way. When I was in college, I had some connections with a Glenmary priest who was traveling around doing vocation work, and he talked about, I don't know if anybody is familiar with the Glenmary order or priests and brothers, but they work in the Deep South and in Appalachia, and they work in a lot of poor rural areas, and that just sounded like such a neat experience to me. And I had the opportunity of going out to a mission in western Pennsylvania, working in the mountains for a couple of spring break trips, and also spent a summer out there, which changed my life completely. That was a real foundational experience for me. So I always thought I wanted to do that. And so finally, at one point, when we had our 3 kids when they were really young, and my wife and I, we went down to Tennessee to work with a group of Choctaw Indians down there. And I thought, this is it. This is that moment that I've been looking for, I've been waiting for. And I got down there and I was miserable. I was just absolutely miserable. And a friend of mine said to me at the time, he said, the poor, meaning the people that we were working with, they're not who you thought they would be. And I said, no, that's not it. It's not, I wasn't who I thought I would be. And I got into this situation, and I realized that as good as an experience as it was, and as much as I learned from that experience, my gifts and my call, or my desires and the ways that I related to the world didn't match that situation, and it was a tough time. And so I had to sort of step back and think, what is it that would do that? And so that's when I started in a more serious way pursuing being a musician. And so a lot of intervening steps sort of fast forward to my wife and I and our kids lived in a little town in northern Michigan, Manistee, lower peninsula of northern Michigan. And I was the director of music for 6 years at a parish there. And I don't know that there was any one moment that stuck out in my mind during that time I was there. And there were moments that weren't that great, just like in any job or any situation in life. But for a period of time there, I felt like I was able to make the most of what I had to offer. I mean, limited as it was, and as struggling as it was at times, and as much as I had to learn in doing that job, I really felt like at the time, it was taking advantage of what I could do, and what I had maybe to offer that community, not just in terms of music, but just in being a part of that community and learning from them and being blessed by that. And so what I took away from that, I hopefully brought to here and the other things that I'm doing here, where it doesn't necessarily have to be a constant sense of this is a perfect moment, but rather that there are those moments that come along in the work here at the college, and the work with students, and the work at the parish when I was doing that, and the work at the center, that those moments come along and that you learn to treasure those, because because that isn't a constant thing, you know, for any of us in whatever work we're doing. You just learn to say, wow, this is a great moment to feel like I'm doing what I need to do. And I remember feeling that way. One moment that sticks out in my mind here was last summer when we were doing some training of some the senior staff for the Res Hall residential life folks, and we were at the YMCA doing some training around how they can lead service projects. And I remember that afternoon feeling like, yeah, this is one of those moments. So they come and they go, and you're glad for when they're there.
Well, thanks a lot. We're going to go ahead and go to our section where we ask you to ask us questions, ask Dan questions. So I think Kevin's got the mic, so if there are any questions out in the audience.
I guess I would ask a question, and I don't know if I have it totally formulated in my head yet, but about the way that the arts and music, in your case in particular, can lead religious communities to new questions. I mean, I think the arts and music can play different roles in religious communities, support us, console us, give us a common language, but sometimes I think they lead us places that we need to go. And so if you have any reflections on, have you seen it play that role? Is that a role that you think is important for music within religious communities?
Sure. It's always been a dream of mine that we would look at music and the arts in terms of a ministry within the church, not just something that supports other things, but a ministerial expression unto itself. And so, like anything else that happens in the church, I think, or in the faith community, I think it's both follower and helper, but also guide and prophet. You know, and so yeah, I think there's a lot of room for that. If you look at historically some of the movements for justice that have been faith-based, I'm thinking about the civil rights movement in the 60s and the 70s. A lot of that was based in the churches, and music and the arts was a way for them to express a call for justice that maybe didn't get expressed in other ways or wasn't acceptable. Even if you look at some of the songs that were sung by the slaves during the time in the South when slavery was legal down there, you know, they were church songs, but they were symbolic of a call for freedom, of a desire for freedom, and maybe even practically a call to leave the plantation and escape. So I think that in that whole sort of African-American tradition, the music has played that kind of not only supportive role and comfort, but also prophetic role, in both a practical as well as a symbolic sense.
All right, this first song we're going to do is entitled What's Happened to You, and it's by a band called The Call, who recorded this back in the 80s, and they're a rock band, so they got the electric guitars and the drums and everything and bass, and we just put together a folkified version of this. But this is a participation song. You know, we were talking about faith and justice and all that kind of stuff before, and a big piece of that is participation, everybody participating, so you all got to join in on this, all right? It's pretty easy, the part you sing. You'll get it. You ready? La 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 la, everybody la 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 la. What's happened to you? You used to be so shy, you used to hang your head down with a thing in my mind. Did you see some great vision? Did you find a great thing? Did you shake the foundation? What's happened to you? sing la 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 la. Little man, here we go. Here on the third floor. La 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 la. One more time now. La Thank you. This next song is the words from it's called "I Bind My Heart," and the words for it are from a piece of writing called "The Thraldom," which is a smaller part of a piece of a collection of writings called "The Tryst." And it was the music to this is by Sister Suzanne Tulin, and so it's a church song. It's one that was in one of the hymnals that one of the publishing companies put together. And I've never heard any group, any church, or anybody else ever do this song except the ones that I've been involved in, because I absolutely love this song. And it was in there for one edition of this book, and then it disappeared in the next edition. So I don't know why people don't like this song, but I think it's great. So. One of my heroes, if you will, musical heroes, is a guy named Pete Seeger. Some of you may or may not know Pete. And so he does this song a lot, and it comes from the union organizing tradition. This is a song that was sung to try to bolster union organizing efforts throughout the 20th century. And so there's a verse in here that talks a little bit about that particular experience of union organizing, where they a lot of times had to face the baton batons and sticks of the police, or the police dogs and the bites and the attacks from those, in order to organize for better living conditions, or working conditions, wages, etc. So there's one verse in here that talks about that, and then the other stuff is, I think, the other verses are a little bit more general in terms of all of us getting together to make this world a better place. So I have to teach you your part though, because it's very easy. Carry it on, carry it on.